Welcome to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation's Conversations at Home program. I'm Piya Sinha-Roy. Now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce actors Mary J. Blige, Patina Miller, and Jospeh Sikora from the Power Universe shows Ghost, Raising Kanan, and Force. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
It's so good to have you here. By the way, this panel is insane. I'm so excited to get into this world with all three of you. So I'm going to kick it off with Miss Mary J. Blige. I'd love to know exactly what immediately connected you to the character of Monet, and what did you sort of immediately respond to with her?
Immediately, just knowing this character, knowing that this character is my mom, and she's a lot of women that I grew up with. I know this woman for real. And my mom didn't sell drugs and was killing people, but she wanted to kill people, and she was raising these two little girls in a very bad neighborhood by herself. So she had to figure out how to survive on her own in the cities and the projects and think like a man and a woman. So, that drew me to her. And of course, just her survival tactics, and just being a woman in a male dominated world and a male dominated business, that's me as well. And just all of her struggles as a mom. She's a mom, and I can relate to that because my mother was that same woman, trying to raise her children by herself. Just being a woman, a strong woman and a survivor is what drew me to Monet.
Patina, I also feel like your character, Rock, is sort of similar in this way as well. She's juggling motherhood and being a parent, as well as, managing this very sort of gritty exterior world. And so for you, what did you find most compelling to explore with her in Raising Kanan?
I mean, I think, like, as Mary J just said, my character is super relatable, just like Monet is relatable. There are a lot of women who go through these struggles all the time. Black women who, are the breadwinners, who are carrying so many things on their shoulders and having to, not only be a mom, but be a businesswoman and handle the world. I grew up, my mom had me at 15. So, the struggle already is there. I know what it's like to watch someone you love trying to parent you, but also learning as they go. Rock is so strong. There's a lot of things that she wants to accomplish being a female in a male dominated world like Monet. It really was just her heart. I love the vulnerability of the character for all of her strengths. She's real. She's a flawed human being. And there's a lot of things that maybe aren't so pretty, but you really get the full picture of why this woman is doing the things that she's doing. And that's what I loved about her, because she's flawed, she's real. There's so many women like her, so many women that I know in my own family, women I've come across who deal with the same things, not drugs, but deal with those same sort of things. And I think that's what makes my character compelling. It's what makes Monet compelling as well, because these are real women who are just trying to fight for their space in this world and, doing what they have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Jospeh, you've been playing Tommy Egan for a little while now, nearly a decade, I guess. But what has the Force series really allowed you to do with the character?
I think that, it's as simple as having the luxury of living with a character for 9 years. I don't know how many actors have the luxury of that. And there's an expression from George Bernard Shaw in a little pamphlet called The Art of the Rehearsal, where he says you have to find the freedom in your limitations. And a lot of that just comes from, the text, where you're limited, but how many incredible pathways and journeys you can find within those, within the words and within the circumstances for the character. And I've had an incredible time doing that with Tommy to make sure that he's not a one-dimensional or two-dimensional character, that he's really a three-dimensional character. I had the luxury of great words from the scribes of Courtney A. Kemp and Gary Lennon. And also the guidance of Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. Was really encouraged by the great Anthony Hemingway, who directed the pilot in the second episode of The Power Show, and was encouraged to kind of keep doing my thing in this. And I just had incredible co-stars with Naturi Naughton and Omari Hardwick and Michael Crane Jr. And I got to work with Mary J. Blige.
I got to hold a gun on Tommy. Woo! That was the highlight of like my career, one of them, because I was a Power. I mean, I'm still a Power fan, stan, whatever you want to call it. And I'm so grateful to be on the show from day one. And I always loved Tommy. And when I got to hold a gun on Tommy, it was just like epic. I was like, oh shit, I'm really this character now.
Rare that Tommy gets dominated, but if he's going to get dominated, I would like it to be Monet, and it was. So.
Honestly, that's pretty epic. And so I was also curious to ask all of you, do you get to work with the writers in any way to bring some input into your characters? And if so, can you talk me through a little bit of that process?
I don't know. I've been very fortunate. I mean, I have never worked with a more collaborative, creative team. People who really just want you to be your best, people who value your opinion. I mean, you're the one who has to live with the character. And, Sasha Penn, our showrunner, has been incredibly collaborative when it comes to Rock and me, bringing my own thing to it, or me just like telling him, I don't know if she would do that, or can we think about this, and not making me feel weird about it, but giving me the space to be an actor, to create, and really listening. And so that has been the biggest thing that has just been so amazing about this process, is being a part of a super collaborative team. And it really just makes for a better working environment. It makes you feel respected, supported, to know that what you bring to it, you know what I mean, is meaningful, and to have people that trust your opinions. And, I feel incredibly grateful to work with an amazing, just some really talented artists. And for us to all be able to collaborate in that way has really just elevated the work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mary, do you have that similar experience as well?
I mean, kind of exactly what she said. Courtney Kemp and Brett are really, collaborative when it comes to what we have to say. They're with us, they're for us, and they want us to, bring ourselves and our experiences to the character to make it real. And they don't mind. They're not intimidated by what we have to say. It's really a family affair. They really want the thing to work for us. So they allow us to just be ourselves in a lot of it.
And I think for me, it was that first season of the Power show that Tommy was written in one way, but I knew what I had to bring to that character to make sure that it was kind of more of a 360 character. So I knew that I wanted Tommy to have comedic flaws. So it wasn't written into the show. So it was small things like, I was like, hey, can we put a gun here? And so like when Tommy's bringing Holly home, it's like, yeah, I'm bringing home, hey, let me put this coat over here. So you start doing stuff like that, and then the writers start writing towards that. So that was more my experience with the writers. I never really had any influence on the writing. I just had what I could bring to the writing. But now is a different story. Now on the fourth show, Power Book 4, now that Gary Lennon is the showrunner, Gary asks me all the time, what do you like about Tommy? What don't you like about Tommy? What do you think Tommy would do? Because they really brought in Gary on season 2 of the Power show to develop the Tommy character, amongst other things. So he really is the voice, kind of the mouthpiece of the character. So he, it's really easy to say his words.
Yeah. It's so rare to see a show then spin off into an entire franchise and multiverse, like the way that the Power series has done. And it's kind of incredible. And Mary J, you're saying you were a fan, for a long time anyways. I'm just curious for all of you, what do you think the Power shows, the Power universe brings to TV overall? And what does it sort of show with families and the world that it depicts that you feel like hasn't really been seen before or hasn't been done as well before?
Well, for me, it's not what really hasn't been seen before. It's what I've seen all my life growing up as a teenager, living where I live. So I fell in love with Power when I, started watching it from the beginning, because I know ghosts. I know Tasha. I know Kane. I know Tariq. I know these people. They've lived in my neighborhood. They're my next door neighbors. They're my friends. And when we walk outside, there they are trying to survive. Everybody's in this drug game trying to get out. And a lot of them got out, and a lot of them are dead. A lot of them in jail. And a lot of them, survived. So for me, it was just like the reality of it. Like, whoa, like whoa, and that's what just turned me on about it, because it was something relative to the culture, like, the inner city culture. We were all, and everybody's still going up because, that woman is still out there, Monet, and her badass children are still out there, Tommy is still out there, Rock is still out there. That's for me, what turned me on, just like the reality of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think that these are real characters. They're relatable, and I this show is it's just so raw in that way. There isn't this glossy picture of how it's supposed to be. When it's bad, it's bad. When you see the violence, it's real violence and it hits you, when you see all of these moments, it's just, what I think is refreshing is it's not, we're not trying to gloss over and make it glossy, because like Mary said, like, we've seen it, you know what I mean? It's just done in such a more meaningful way. And it's not a one note type of thing, right? To see a strong woman, I think, is super interesting. We see that on TV. We see strong Black women on TV, but you really don't get to see us be vulnerable. You don't get to see us really show this three-dimensional character, you know what I mean? And there's so many parts that are interesting, not in just Rock, not in just Monet, but what the Power series has done is really made every single character memorable, relatable. There's always a character throughout this series that someone can say, you know what, I identify, this character reminds me of such and such. I just think they've allowed the space where people feel seen. And so they watch it in a way where, like, finally someone is sort of, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making any sense, but it just feels super relatable and raw.
Accurate depiction of the urban experience. And I think that part of that is the innate diversity within the urban experience. And it's not confining people to say just Black. And I think that oftentimes that word has been hijacked. Oh, could you be more urban? Like, then just say Black if that's what you want to say. Otherwise, be responsible to the urban experience. And that's a diversification. That's New York. I mean, New York is Black and Latin and Asian and everything in between. And the responsibility of the innate diversity within the complex microcosm of New York City. And I think that Courtney A. Kemp and Gary Lennon and Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, we can't minimize 50's role in this, and how accessible and how what a producer he has been on a mass marketing scale to put this together, to show this. I'm just so grateful to be part of this. And as Mary said, part of the culture. And one of the things is that Black culture is world culture. Everybody starts to catch up. That's just a fact. So to be part of this, I'm just really grateful to be part of this universe, and to be with spectacular actors like Patina and Mary and Michael, and to give Omari a lot of credit, because there had to be a martyr for this series to continue. There had to be, somebody had to die, and it had to be the lead for us to all live. And grateful, shout out to Omari.
Yeah.
Love that. Mary, you've won an NAACP award twice now for this role. So congratulations.
Thank you.
What has this, you're an incredible multifaceted artist overall, but what has this role allowed you to do as an artist and as a creator? And what have you been able to sort of be able to do with your acting and performance in this role that you've maybe never had a chance to do before and you've really relished?
Well, what it has personally allowed me to do is heal from a lot of damage that I've had in my personal life and in my life period and in my heart. And it allowed me to travel to some very dark places where some very terrible, horrible things happened to me, to transfer into this woman, to give her this darkness so she can go out there and just be a whole monster. And that really come across as real, because I'm taking that stuff and giving it to this woman. And so that's what people are feeling. They're feeling the real pain of Mary J. Blige, just trials going to Monet. And and I've done that with all my roles, because it seemed like I'm always going through hell. I don't know why, making some bad choices. So, when I did Mudbound was the same thing. I was inside of a horrible situation where I had to use a lot of Mary's pain to give to Florence. And so it's just allowed me to grow and to heal. And the show and just being Florence is is not sorry, Florence. I'm sorry, Florence. Monet. Being Monet is really showed me how to continue to get my feet wet. But something bigger. I think something bigger is coming, as far as acting. It's teaching me more. I'm not the greatest actress in the world, but it's definitely teaching me more, really. But I don't care how many accolades I have. I don't want to hear that. I'm just, we all have to be comfortable with saying that and it's being real. So, I'm still growing and Monet is helping me with that growth.
That's so profound. Acting is so cathartic for so many people, and it sounds like you're really having that full experience with the role, which is beautiful. Patina, for you, what's been perhaps the biggest misconceptions around rock that you've really enjoyed exploring and dissecting through your performance?
I've once the show premiered, I've gotten a lot of she's horrible, she's the devil, she's because she's had to do some really crazy things. There have been a lot of things about Rock where people have said, oh, why is she talking down to her brothers like that? Or why is she doing this? Why is she treating Symphony like that? And, I've enjoyed it actually, because she's not what you would think, and mm-hmm. I think for me, Rock, I try to use, the strong side, the vulnerable side. I hate to even say masculine or feminine or whatever, but I just try to use different things as an actor to tell Rock's story. And, I think Rock does a lot of things that if a man were doing it, it wouldn't be a question. But because she is a mother, because she's a woman, it makes some people feel uncomfortable. But for the most part, people love it. They say she's a badass. But what I've really loved through this process, I love being a little acting nerd. You know what I mean? I love all of the things I've learned through the process, just my training and everything. I love taking bits and pieces of myself and, like Mary said, trying to find how it fits in to this character. And for me, having words like how we do on Raising Kanan, because the words are so good, I just get to play. And so what I have done and what I've enjoyed most is dissecting Rock and then just playing and trying to, just really just working every episode to sort of do something different. So I've been allowed to play. So I don't know if there's been big misconceptions, mostly that she's a monster. I think, she's just put in a situation to do what she has to do. And, right. If you put yourself in those shoes, you can never say what you wouldn't do if it were your child or the circumstance. But these are like two different answers I'm giving you. But nope. I've just really enjoyed bringing all of the things that I love to do as an actor, bringing it to Rock. So,
yeah. And Jospeh, for you, how differently is Tommy taking on Chicago versus New York? And what have been some of your favorite things to discover about him while making Force?
Well, I moved from Chicago 23 years ago, so I've lived in New York longer, and New York is home. So it was a real fun rediscovery for me to come back to Chicago. I didn't have the hubris to think, I'm from Chicago, I know all this stuff. I came back a month early. I relearned the city. I relearned the demographics and the dynamics, and the uncontrollable gentrification of a lot of different areas of this city. So it has changed a lot of places I can go now. And also how it's kind of reverted into this Wild West in certain areas. It's also very different from New York. And so I think that for me, what was fun was how reflective that is. Tommy thinks, I'm just going to Queens. This should be Queens, but it's not. So Tommy makes a lot of mistakes in Chicago because, at least at first, because it's not. It's almost like a bizarro Queens to him. And then, he really figured this place out. My favorite thing was in the first season of the Force show, Tommy sees the map of Chicago, and he's like, and he turns it on its side. He's like, oh, God. So it's like he had to make Chicago his own in terms of how he's going to interact with that. But It's really cool. I think that I have the luxury of expanding the Power universe past the 5 boroughs. So that's been a lot of fun, and it's fun to play a fish out of water and see all these tremendous actors in our cast. I'm so proud because, I mean, they set the bar high. The Ghost cast, the Raising Kanan cast, I couldn't agree with Patina more. The writing on that show is stellar. Kudos to Sasha Penn. And just epically played Patina. Like you said, everybody, when people say this, that, and the other thing about Rock, I think that, to me, with the comments I see anyway, it's across the board. It's 360. People think you're an angel, you're a savior, and then also the devil. And I mean, that's a brilliant actor. People cannot accomplish that. Right. So, I mean, to be in that kind of company, I'm humbled. To be able to act with a person that I idolized growing up, Mary J. Blige, I'm humbled. And to know that we're all part of the same family, I couldn't be more grateful. God is good all the time.
Amen.
All the time.
Amen.
I'm very curious to know what all 3 of you do to step into your characters just sort of right before filming. Do you have any little things that you have to get into the heads of your characters? What's that process like?
Who wants to go?
Anyone.
Honestly, I'll just say whenever the greatest gift I think an actor can get is getting a really fantastic character where it's easy, where you don't have to manufacture and you don't have to work so hard to get into the character. You're settled and confident knowing you know what, I know this character. I know how to step into this. And so with Rock, because I know the struggle, because I know who she is and what she's fighting for, there is no, I don't need to do it before the door to get into it, because I feel confident about what I'm doing in the words and the crew of people I'm going to go and act with. And I know whatever I'm showing up with that day, that they're going to all get it and we're going to be in this world. So I feel very fortunate to just be able to have a character that I love, that I recognize, that I feel so passionate and strongly about playing, that I don't need to do crazy work. I mean, I'm a silly person, I laugh a lot before, hair and makeup is really wild and really crazy. And then I turn it on and people are like, what? What? You were just joking and laughing and making funny faces and working out. How are you now this person? But, it allows me to get in there.
Patina, do you think it's one of the luxuries we have from coming from the theater? Because I find myself doing a lot of light switch stuff too, that people are like,
yeah, Joseph. I think so. I think because, it's the theater and, we don't really have the time to get ready. We have our rehearsal time to get ready, right? So you've had all this time to get ready. And I think the theater, once the curtain goes up, you're there, you're in it. There is no, you better just be ready,
Yeah.
So I think that is the luxury of the theater.
Yeah, everything is there. Everything is there.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I'm not an actor, so I just watch and I write about it. And to me, I like hearing about the process. To me, what you guys do is incredible. It's magic. You're making magic on screen by transforming and making these characters so real and believable. And we're so invested in them, which I love. I'm really curious to know also, if there was any other character in the Power universe, doesn't matter who or whoever, who would you love to play? Who else would you love to play and why? Don't know if you've thought about that even. I don't know if you're so.
I mean, I would never wanted to play any of those characters because those characters are iconic and classic. For the rest of my life, they will go down in history. So there will be never be another Tommy, Ghost, Tasha, none of those guys, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm good.
Well, I will say Mary already got the opportunity. They already got the opportunity to work together. I mean, I'd love I wish that there was some sort of way, although Rock is in the prequel, that she could work with them. Obviously, I would jump at the opportunity for, I don't know what a Rock, Tommy, and Monet meeting would be like, but I bet it would be so interesting.
Yo, Tom, Joe, let me say something. What if you came, because you're alive still, you and Monet came and took Queens by storm again, like you and Ghost did. Y'all made up, And we just took the whole New York, or we just killed.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
That would be crazy. Oh, yeah. Because I was in right now time. So, sorry, Raising Cane is like.
I know. We don't know what happens to Raquel, though. Which is the beginning of the story. She might just be old and fly. You know what I mean? Like, you never know.
Yeah, she might be like the old queen.
Okay.
I would definitely watch that. I feel like that needs to happen somehow. So let's manifest that right now. And finally, what I would love to just sort of wrap up with asking each of you, you're all seasoned actors, but what's the one piece of advice that you guys wish you had back when you booked your first major role?
Sheesh. Well, for me, it would be what Shaka Khan told me a long time ago, and that is to get out of your own way. And what I've discovered that what that meant is when the camera's on you, there's no time for nervousness because the camera's cold. People are cheering when you're on stage and all that stuff, but when the camera's on you, it's cold. It doesn't love you. It's like, get out of your, whatever that nervousness is, that nervous Mary, moving that nervous Mary out of the way and be this fearless boss, bitch, ass, whatever you need to be, get her out of the way. That's the advice I would give to that Mary. Stop, you can't be afraid. That's it.
And I would say just to be you, be okay. It's okay to just be you. It's okay, I would say to be present. Showing up as yourself, your best self, showing up open. I think that's a piece of advice I would give myself, and that you're enough.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I would have is something that I learned from 50 Cent, and that is, and I feel like I've always done it. I just didn't have the confidence in myself to do it more, which I do now because I'm in a different position. And that is, there's a lie out there. And it's a big lie. And people say you could either be loved or feared. That's not true. And I've learned that from Fifth. You can also be loved so much that people are afraid to let you down. And so if you lift everybody up, you go up with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I realize that in this
right.
business. He's been an incredible example for that. So I try to do that as much as I can. Not that I haven't done it in the past, but now I think that I could have done even more, even earlier.
I love all of that. That's incredible advice to leave everyone with. So on behalf of the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, I want to thank you all so much for being here and being able to share your experiences and your process and your craft with your fellow performers. It's been amazing to hear how you all get into your characters and your roles and the things that you consider highlights. So thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you.
Thank you for having me.